Only policy, genuinely, that I have seen Keir Starmer passionately commit himself and work to over months was overturning the referendum. That was the only policy I've actually seen him carry out, be totally committed to, and work at over any period. There isn't anything else. Now, I'm sure, in a sense, he's a sort of decent middle-of-the-roader, and he's got his points, but these are not policies. I know what the policies are, what he's trying to achieve for the country at all. So I tend to agree with the criticism. And it's Andy Burnham's criticism, who's turning into a really interesting figure.
Yeah, he is,
which
actually.
you wouldn't have said 5 years ago. I mean, he lost twice, he stood, I think, for the Labour leadership twice, and he lost on both occasions. And at that stage, I think most people would have regarded him as a bit lightweight and not a very significant figure. He is a serious and credible figure, I think.
I think he is. I actually think that Burnham, if he was the Labour leader, I think he would turn a lot of people to Labour or potentially back to Labour. What do you think?
I mean, Andy ran twice. I like Andy. He's a good politician. He's a great speaker. And he's done really interesting things in terms of some of the infrastructure, the investment and planning that they've done in Greater Manchester. And that kind of sort of boring grind, actual leading stuff is really important. So I've got a lot of time for what's been done up in and around Manchester by Andy Burnham. I think there's always a prince over the water problem that every Labour leader has, whether it's your brother, your mate, or that bloke up north. This happens to any Labour leader. There is always going to be an ambitious cadre that is slightly champing at the bit to take over from you. Your job is to be good enough that that doesn't happen. And if Andy Burnham is giving Keir a kick up the what's it to make that happen, great. If it doesn't happen, then there's plenty of people ready to step up and step in.
Yeah, I mean, someone just emailed in a second ago saying Labour just need to get back to representing the working class. It was always supposed to be very simple, but the sentiment, as I've just said, that seems to be coming through is that the party's almost lost its way. It's too focused on trying to attack as opposed to, present its own kind of stall of goodness. And it's very focused in minority issues and things like that much of the working class looking at, thinking, what are you doing?
I mean, I think the Labour can't abandon minorities, but what they can do is absolutely say, we completely agree with that, but our focus, our 100% laser sense focus is on the cost of living. This is how the economy will be different under a Labour government. This is how your economy in your household will be different under a Labour government. This is how your security of your job will be different under a Labour government. This is how we will work with rather than against the unions in order to create a better country for all of us, whether that's in ensuring workplace security or in delivering better services. These are the things that Labour should come back to because those are the bread and butter issues that Labour has always traditionally cared about. And that will have a class element. Labour is the party of Labour. It's right there in the name. But, I mean, there was always a middle-class element to the Labour Party. The sort of middle-class intelligentsia was part of building a coalition to set up the Labour Party 100 and something years ago. But it's about the balance of that, and it's got to come back to those bread and butter issues that we all actually care about.